It's 6:30 p.m. and I'd like to call this meeting of the Community Development Committee to order. While this meeting is being held in person, we are also offering the option for the public to participate through Zoom if preferred. Instructions on how to attend virtually are included in the City Council calendar item listed on the front page of missionkansas.org. The public is also invited to participate in the meeting. If you are participating through Zoom, please either add your comment in the chat feature and it will be read out loud, or note that you would like to speak and we will call on you shortly to make your comment verbally. Please remember your comments or questions are visible to everyone in the meeting. If you are part of our in-person group tonight, please raise your hand but stay seated and we will call on you to go to the lectern to make your comment. When you make your comment, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Also be conscientious of others trying to speak and speak slowly and clearly. This meeting will be recorded and posted on the city's website at missionks.org. Please contact the administration offices at 913-676-8350 with any questions or concern. Ms. Folks, please call the roll.
Thomas. Here. Loudon.
Here.
Ryard. Here. Ring.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Chociej.
Here.
Carpenter Davis.
Here.
Actually, that's Leah. If we ignore your.
Okay, we do have a revised agenda for tonight's meeting. Ms. Smith, will you please update the committee on the revisions?
Yes, thank you. And we do this so infrequently on a committee agenda that Robin and I had back and forth today, but because you don't take formal binding action at a committee meeting, the revision this evening reflects, and my eagle eyes sitting up there did not catch it, neither did we. The caption for the traffic signal light contract said total electric. We're actually recommending award of that contract to Black and McDonald. So we just made those match and Stephanie will cover those when she presents on that action item this evening. So that is the revision to this evening's agenda.
Thank you. Our first item of business tonight is public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment now on an item not on our agenda tonight? We've got no one. Okay. We have no items coming forward from the Planning Commission or any public presentations this evening, so we will move on to our action items. Our first action item this evening is the acceptance of the meeting minutes from Robin Folks.
Thank you. Draft minutes of the December 13th Community Development Committee meeting were included for review and acceptance in your packet tonight.
Okay. Non-consent, consent?
Second.
Yep, okay. Next, we will consider a contract with Black and McDonald for traffic signal maintenance from Stephanie Boyce.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, staff is recommending the approval of a traffic signal maintenance contract with Black and McDonald. That annual cost is $48,162.78. Just a little bit of a background. The city owns and operates 8 traffic signals and 4 pedestrian beacons. The maintenance of these devices are provided by an outside contractor for maintenance, preventative maintenance, as well as on-call services for traffic signal maintenance and emergency repairs. The locations of the signals and the pedestrian beacons are listed in the report. And Black and McDonald would do work on a monthly, quarterly, and semi-annual basis, depending on what those duties, which are outlined in the contract. They will provide us with reports monthly to document all activities. And this contract would have an initial 2-year term with the option to renew for an additional 2 years. There were 2 bidders in December. One was Total Electric Contractors and the second was Black and McDonald. Black and McDonald was the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder. And so staff is recommending the approval of the contract. While they have not serviced our traffic signals in the city, they have been our street light contractor for the last 15 years. And we're sure that they'll do an excellent job with the traffic signals as well. Any questions?
Who did we use for the traffic signals in the past?
We used Total Electric, so they were also one of the bidders.
questions? No. Consent, non-consent? Consent.
All right, thank you.
Our next action item tonight will be consideration of a public works consulting contract with Katigon Consult LLC from Laura Smith.
Thank you. And Katie Horner Gonzalez is online virtually with us this evening. So Emily, if you could elevate her to a panelist, she can answer any questions that I'm not able to. We became acquainted with Katie last year. Really impressed with her credentials. And so as we were working through the recruitment process for a new public works director, I entered into, there were a couple of really large scale projects, one being the Johnson Drive Metcalf project that we're coordinating with KDOT, and then the Johnson Drive street rehabilitation project from Lamar to Metcalf, which is slated for 2026. And you may recall we have the STP funds in the amount of $6 million for. So both of those projects, we did not want to lose any forward progress on while the director's position was vacant. Brent and I discussed those projects where he needed the extra support and I felt like I needed the extra support, and we were in agreement. So I approached Katie to enter into those, and she has been working under my expenditure authority for the last several months, primarily on the KDOT Johnson Drive Metcalf project, both coordinating meetings with KDOT and the city of Overland Park. And I think we're making some forward progress, but at least it's continual, even though somewhat slower than what we would like. So as we look at moving into the new year, even though Stephanie is here and we are thrilled to do that, as she sort of gets acclimated and takes on all of the other projects, we wanted to bring forward a consulting contract in a maximum amount not to exceed $20,000 to kind of continue that support through 2024. The consulting fees would be paid from the Public Works General Fund budget, which they have sufficient budget for. And interestingly enough, Stephanie actually ended up as a transplant to the Midwest from California because Katie had offered her a position when she was working for the City of Independence. So they already have a relationship and know one another, and look forward to sort of reconnecting them in that fashion. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and Katie is... she's here, if you have any questions for her. Anyway, we do this, I think I included the scope and fee. And so we just do this on an hourly basis.
What's the term? How long?
We didn't specify a specific term, so we just, we'll just kind of go until this money would run out, or we feel like we're at a point where both of those projects have advanced and we may not need that consulting support.
Any other questions? Consent, non-consent? Consent, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Our next action item tonight will be for consideration of a restoration and refresh at the Mission Family Aquatic Center Splashpad from Ken Almond.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So there are some splash pad accessories at the Mission Family Aquatic Center that are in need of refurbishment. We use these areas for recreational swimming, rentals, as well as events throughout the swim season. They're original to the MFAC renovation, which happened in 2014. And these typically require refreshing or replacement due to water, chemicals, UV, and weather exposure. So they typically don't need replaced until you hit that 10 to 15 year mark. And we're quickly approaching that mark and want to extend the life as long as possible. So this will be the first gel coat renovation since the accessories were originally installed. There are a few deficiencies, but nothing that's requiring enhanced refurbishment. So a few hairline cracks, obviously some weathered and deteriorating waterproofing, but we solicited 3 manufacturers for bids. The most responsive bid was from the original manufacturer, which was Splashtacular. And the warranty they offer includes a 1-year warranty on manufacturer defects and workmanship. And they will match the design and color to original design specifications, which is great. This project was approved as part of the 2024 budget and capital improvement plan, which is funded from Parks and Recreation sales tax. So staff is recommending approval of a contract with Splashtacular that does not exceed $22,460, with work scheduled to begin early February. It should take roughly 2 to 4 weeks and would get those elements back in place prior to the 2024 swim season. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Consent, non-consent? Consent. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our final action item tonight is consideration of inspection services at Waterworks Park, also for Penn. Oh, picnic tables, yes. Our fifth action item for tonight will be consideration of replacement of picnic tables at Mission Family Aquatic Center, also from Penn.
Yes, we were all fans of picnic tables. I'm sure we've used them throughout our lives. We use them pretty heavily during the swim season at the MFAC for rentals, staging areas for events, and just as a respite from sun and too much water. So one of the difficulties we have is that there's supervised areas, heavily supervised, and then some lesser unsupervised areas. So we've got guards that patrol the area, look primarily at the water. So we want to make sure that these picnic tables can endure both intended uses as well as some unintended, overuse. So with that in consideration, the tables need to be heavy enough that they don't need to be bolted in place. They need to have a standard design style that can be easily accessible for those with disabilities. Relatively close to the existing picnic table design, a 10-year warranty, and rated to at least 1,000 pounds. So each of the manufacturers we reached out to have tables that align with all of those requirements. We reached out to 4, all of them submitted bids, with the most responsive and lowest cost bid coming from Belson Outdoors at $18,685.57. So based on the reviews and evaluation of all of those costs and specifications, staff recommends a purchase of 12 picnic tables, which would be 10 standard and 2 ADA accessible, from Belson Outdoors in an amount not to exceed $20,000 to be paid for by Parks and Recreation sales tax fund. And the reason I say 20,000 is because once we got original bids, that included shipping and handling early January. They do anticipate that cost going up by the time that we make a decision or approval if you see fit. So not to exceed $20,000. The delivery takes 4 to 6 weeks, which would get them here just in time for preparation for our 2024 outdoor season. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Will these be stored inside or outside?
They are outdoor tables, so
So they'll be stored outside in the,
in the inclement weather, yeah. They've got a PVC coating that's about half an inch thick. And so over the course of 9 years, we've had half of our tables that have endured all of the inclement weather. But some of them, that PVC coating, because of that unsupervised use, in my opinion, it's picked away and gouged at. So that requires, some of the steel underneath that coating is rusting out, and then it just kind of proliferates really quickly.
who did we get the last round of tables from?
I believe is Wabash, which we've struggled to get in contact with. But they have a very good product. And I mean, it's almost a universal standard now, the way they apply that PVC coating.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Consent, non-consent? Consent it is. Okay, now our final action item tonight is consideration of inspection services at Waterworks Park.
Yes, we were supposed to have a groundbreaking, but unfortunately that was postponed. But we are still proceeding with the park project as scheduled. They will mobilize here in another week or so, but the 2024 Waterworks Park Improvement Project is ready to proceed. The landscape design firm, Stan Tech, has some inspection services and reporting as part of their scope of work. However, with all the details and the myriad of deadlines associated with concrete pourings, footers being dug and all of that, it requires third-party testing. So we reached out to 4 engineering firms. The proposal from Terracon was the only responsive proposed receive. 2 of them just didn't have the manpower to handle inspection services, and the other one we never heard back from. So staff is recommending approval of testing inspection services contract for the Waterworks Park Improvement Project with Terracon in an amount not to exceed $19,905, which is under the originally budgeted amount and approved amount of $25,000. They will include special inspection and testing for earthwork, lab soil, shallow foundation, bearing soil, cast in place, concrete, reinforcing steel, structural masonry, hot mix asphalt, and a myriad of other testing elements. They do all of the reporting. We utilize them for Mohawk Phase 1. And of all of the engineering firms I've worked with, they were the most consistent in getting information to us regularly, consistently, and with feedback that was actually actionable. So I'm excited to work with them again, and I anticipate that their work product will be just as good as it was for Mohawk. So staff's making that recommendation. And it was approved as part of the 2024 CIP, which was funded by Parks and Recreation Sales Tax funds. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Move to consent. Yes.
Debbie, you want?
Terracon's in Lenexa, right? The same? location?
Yes, correct.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you letting us know that you've worked with them in the past, and we're happy to work with them since they were the only ones that responded. It's good to
Yeah.
know that we still get to pick a winner.
Yeah, so I did reach out to GBA, Olson, and Alpha and Omega. And Terracon came through for us, which is wonderful.
And, okay. We have no discussion items this evening. Ms. Smith, are there any department updates for the Community Development Committee?
I will give just a few, and then we'll catch up anything we missed next week at the council meeting. But first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome back. Feels like we're off to a running start already this year, which is exciting. First of all, huge kudos to our public works staff and our snow crews who have done an excellent job keeping our streets cleaned. This was a messy kind of snow and wind combination, which is always challenging, but they're doing a fantastic job. And Stephanie got a week under her belt before she got to deal with her first snowstorm. So she and Brent and all the folks, we've been passing along thanks, but always happy to recognize that. Just a reminder that next week at the city council meeting, Evergy will be making a presentation. They will be on the regular agenda. We anticipate their presentation will be about 30 minutes, and then we will open it up for question and answer from you all and then any residents who may be in attendance. Advertise that on social media, as well as specifically, I was just corresponding even this afternoon or this evening with Countryside Homes Association. So some of those circuits and neighborhoods that have been more affected. So I expect probably a pretty good turnout next week. Just so you know, we have, although development interest has picked up in the last couple of weeks, and my phone has been ringing, we do not have anything coming forward from the Planning Commission. They are not meeting either this month or next month. And so we'll have a little bit of a break, and hopefully Brian and Carrie get a little breathing room there. I would tell you that I don't know when the construction is anticipated to start, but the developer for the Mission Vale Townhome project did come in and pull the building permit on that project prior to the end of December. So we anticipate seeing some progress on that. And then also, I can't, not a total spoiler alert, but we are currently working through final background and employment verification for a new deputy city administrator, which we hope to be able to share in the very near future. So that's all I have this evening.
All right, it is now 6:50 PM, and with no further discussion, that concludes the meeting of the Community Development Committee. Again, this video will be made public on our website at missionks.org. Thank you.
Okay, in hopes to finish this in record time, possibly. It is now 6:50 PM. And I'd like to call the meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee to order. While this meeting is being held in person, we are also offering the option for the public to participate through Zoom if preferred. Instructions on how to attend virtually are included in the City Council calendar item listed on the front page of missionks.org. The public is also invited to participate in the meeting. If you are participating through Zoom, please either add your comment in the chat feature and it will be read out loud, or note that you would like to speak and we will call on you shortly to make your comment verbally. Please remember your comments or questions are visible to everyone in the meeting. If you are part of our in-person group tonight, please raise your hand but stay seated and we will call on you to go to the lectern to make your comment. When you make your comment, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Also, please be conscientious of others trying to speak and speak slowly and clearly. This meeting will be recorded and posted on the city's website at missionks.org. Please contact the administration offices at 913-676-8350 with any questions or concerns. Ms. Folks, please call the roll.
Thomas. Here. Loudon.
Here.
Ryder.
Here.
King. Here. Schmidt.
Here.
Chociej.
Here.
Governor Davis.
Here.
Okay, and we do have a revised agenda for tonight's meeting. Ms. Smith, can you please update the committee on the revisions?
Yes, thank you. We originally thought we would have a discussion item surrounding the Millhouse tax abatement request. But the Millhouse representatives had a conflict with the schedule, and so we will be having a work session next week ahead of our city council meeting. So at 6 o'clock, we'll be kind of entering into our conversations around that project.
Okay. And our first item of business is public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment now? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have no public presentations this evening, therefore we will now proceed with our regular agenda. Our first action item this evening is the acceptance of the meeting minutes from Robin Folks.
Yes, thank you. Draft minutes of the December 13th Finance and Administration Committee meeting have been included for review and acceptance in your packet tonight.
Thank you. And our second and final action item, sorry. Oh, yeah, recommendation, sorry. Great,
Consent.
thank you. Our second and final action item tonight is for consideration of an update to the governing body compensation from Laura Smith.
Yes, thank you. We are finally on track and in conformance with our ordinance in bringing forward a conversation about council compensation in January of each year. So you may recall that in we really hadn't made any adjustments to council compensation for 20 years, from 2002 to 2022. And so we spent some time last year researching salaries for other Johnson County communities, which you may recall was all over the board, from $100 to nothing to $90,000, I think the mayor of Edgerton makes. And so we had several discussions about that, and then finally made a revision to and adjusted our ordinances. I think the council's preference was to land on something that just sort of gradually adjusted council compensation, sort of in line with the average employee merit increase that was given each year, or at least the opportunity to confirm that was the direction that you wanted to move. In January of 2023, that resulted in a 6% increase to the governing body, bringing those salaries up just very minimally. For 2023, the merit year, so 2023 increase was based on the 2022 merit raises. So this year, that percentage was 4.5%. So we would be looking at, if we follow that policy again this year, we'd be looking at moving mayor and council salaries by 4.5%. So mayor's salary would go from $12,720 to $13,292. Council salaries go from $4,452 to $4,652. If this is acceptable to you, there's no code revision that's necessary because we wrote the ordinance last year broadly enough, but we would just ask that you take formal action and make a motion and vote on that next week at your legislative meeting. So happy to answer any questions. And just as a reminder for the minutes, really, the discussion that was kind of driving the look at this was trying to reduce any barrier that there might be to incentivize people to run for office as a result of childcare or other financials. Concerns that they might have, recognizing that these salaries certainly don't compensate for the time that you spend fulfilling your duties as council members, but wanted to recognize that.
Any questions, comments? All right, recommendation?
I would recommend you do this on the
Oh,
regular.
yeah, sorry.
That's fine, but I think just because
Okay.
it's not probably a good thing to keep there.
Yep, okay, sounds good. Okay, and we have no discussion items this evening. Finally, this evening, we have department updates. Ms. Smith, are there any updates for the finance?
I think I covered everything under CDC, so I think we're good
Perfect.
this evening.
All right, it is now 6:50. Oh,
One thing, I'm sorry, just a reminder for those of you who are attending the State of the City's address tomorrow, the mayor will be, along with all the other mayors in Northeast Johnson County, will be updating on the state of our city and looking forward to that. I know we have a full table of 10 that will be attending between staff and council tomorrow.
awesome. And it is now still 6:56, and with no further discussion, that concludes the meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee. Again, this video will be made public on our website at missionks.org. Thank you.